back to the talk. I'm here with my good friend Leisa Miller-Schnur. She is the haunted librarian. She is also a lawyer, professor, a blogger, and now you have now you're a host on Midnight Radio FM.
I am. Hey, Connie, how are you?
How are you doing? It's been so long since I've seen you.
It has been ages. It has been ages. We definitely need to get together once we are allowed to mingle again.
I'd love that. Tell me about this new radio show you're doing.
Well, it's interesting because before COVID, right, we weren't really listening to internet radio and we were watching TV. Well, you were. Good for you. And so I had one of my friends, Tim Weisberg, he was on another station and things were kind of falling apart. And so he quickly put together this new paranormal station called Midnight.fm. And I started listening to it. It started in June, at the end of June, beginning of July. And it's a nightly show that he runs, the Midnight Society. It's a 3-hour show. And his guests were incredible, right? And across the spectrum in terms of who he was pulling in. And they were asking for show ideas because they decided to grow this station. And so I pitched The Haunted Librarian, which is a blog that I've been writing for 8 years now, going on 8 years. And I was like, well, let me just pitch this idea and see. And they got back to me and said, how would you like to be on the network? And since I was early getting in, it was like, what day would you like? And so Thursdays at 9 p.m., it's an hour-long discussion with like-minded people. And it started August 6th, and it's fabulous. It's a lot of fun.
I have no doubt. But what is the most haunted location you have ever had the pleasure of investigating?
It was a residence. It was an apartment. And it was, I'm going to say interesting in terms of we had a demonic one that was a little bit beyond our skill set. But the one at this apartment up in Rome, and the complex was built on Indian ruins because a lot of people in Georgia realize that we were part of the Trail of Tears, but a lot of people outside of Georgia don't. And I'm not from Georgia, I'm from Florida. And that was the first time I've actually had my leg pulled.
Your what?
Which was my leg. I had jeans on and it grabbed my right leg and pulled.
And you felt it?
Oh, I felt it. I was like, whoa, what was that? So that's the one that's like most memorable in a good sense. Mm-hmm. Now, in a bad sense, there was a case in South Georgia, and it was a demonic case. So we referred it on from Archer because we were not demonologists. And we brought in a guest, a friend of ours who's a psychic medium. And as we're driving to South Georgia, I was driving and she was telling me everything that was going on. And she was specific, the family dynamic, and she didn't know anything about it because she was just called in kind of at the last minute. And we got there and it was a generational haunting with a man who was the stepfather, and he was the highest rank of Mason. Then you had the generational hauntings actually were possessions, and she had 3 children where one was he was deemed mentally unstable, almost incompetent. He was in full possession. And then we had a djinn, an elemental on the roof.
Wow.
And and that's when we were like, we need to refer you on.
That's super scary. If I ever hear of there could be any demonic activity, I'm going in the opposite direction because it's real stuff. It's real.
It is. And it's frightening.
I have a question for you. Do you believe in generational curses?
I do, because I think that especially this one came out of Cuba and the Caribbean. And I think that with a mix of different religions, that there can be this generational curse, but I also think some of it can be implanted. Sure. And so that's when you also need to refer people to professional help so that they can kind of work through that as well. Wow.
I don't know if I ever told you, but years ago I had the son of a high priestess in Haiti, voodoo priestess in Haiti, swear all these things were going to happen to me. And I was like, look, I'm sorry, I don't believe in that. My God's not going to let that happen to me. So, whatever. But all the people around me were like, oh my God, we were going away for a weekend trip. And they're like, I just don't even know if I want to go with you. But to me, it was like,
Yeah.
nothing happened. But I know that bad things can happen.
But, in that instance, you might have called in your angels and
Sure.
your guardians, and they might have protected you and placed up a buffer. That's why I think religion, any religion, whatever your religion is, that you need to be deeply rooted in it to be able to get into this investigation of paranormal activity, because that's the problem. Is there's a rise in exorcisms because you've got people who don't identify with a God, are kind of lax in their thoughts, religions, whatever, and they get into some really crazy stuff that they can't get themselves out of.
Right. I have read that
It's real.
there is a rise in exorcisms. I mean, legitimate exorcisms, from the whole Catholic Church has been certified or verified or whatever it is. And I think that's all. And I will say that you mentioned Ouija boards, and I totally think that those are so dangerous.
I think they are, and I don't think that they were meant to be dangerous, right? Because they're trademarked as a toy. But I think when you put your intentions into it, and I think that people who are playing with it are putting in negative intentions, and so that's what they're expecting, and that's what they're welcoming in.
Yeah.
And we had another case where this woman had no less than 10 Ouija boards, some handmade, one by her father who was dying from cancer, who she just reunited with, so that he could talk to her from beyond the veil.
Where would you most like to investigate?
I would like to go over to England and go to some of the lesser known places. And maybe some cemeteries, because I just love cemeteries, but I don't want to do the big name places because you see them on TV, and subconsciously I already think that I should expect something. I want to go because I want to travel, because I'm tired of being in my house.
I know.
So I want to go to England or Ireland or Wales or Scotland and go there, or Isle of Man, and see if I can find Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
Find who?
Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to look that one up. That sounds
Yeah, I'm writing a blog on that one. So when I post it, I'll send you the link.
Please do. And that's The Haunted Librarian. Hey, I love reading your blog, because not only is it always interesting, but you bring in, like the latest paranormal news, but you also debunk things.
Yes.
And I like that, because you don't go into a location. I know this from having known you for a long time. You don't go into a location looking for something's about to happen. You're going in with a mindset that nothing's happened yet. It's got to happen before I believe it.
Yes.
And I like it much better.
I do debunk, unfortunately, a lot of the paranormal shows on Travel Channel and TV.
Do you have any parting words or anything you want to say to everyone?
Keep an open mind, and keep an open mind that it isn't a demon, because that's what TV wants you to believe, that it's a demon. But it might just be simply that you've got a leak in your roof. But especially in this time, use this time to learn about a different religion or a different culture, and possibly the paranormal. I'm learning so much about UFOs and alien abductions right now. And it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating. So keep an open mind. That's my ending parting thought.
So I'll be talking to you again, Lisa, really soon, and everyone else, I'll be right back.
Big shout out to today's guest, Amanda Burke, president of United Way of Northwest Georgia, and Chuck McClurg, 2020 campaign co-chair. Remember to join United Way on September the 15th from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Facebook Live for family fun and learning about amazing things happening right here in our community. And I hope you enjoyed Leisa Miller-Schnur as much as I did. Follow Lisa's blog at thehauntedlibrarian.com. And you're on Midnight FM every Thursday at 9 p.m. Come out and see Connie and Dalton Ghost Tours every Friday and Saturday night, now through October at 8 p.m. Tours begin at the Wooden Deck across from the Wing Theater on West Crawford Street in historic downtown Dalton. For more information, visit Dalton Ghost Tours on Facebook. And while you're there, be sure to leave a like for the Talk with Connie on Facebook. Thanks for watching North Georgia Television.